Holistic connection. Let's heal. Holistic connection. Let's learn. Holistic connection. Let's grow. Holistic connection. Let's be real.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Holistic Connections. I am Pamela, your host, and our guest today is Kelsey Lynne. And I want to welcome you today and thank you for being my guest and ask you to please introduce yourself and share what you do in the holistic healing space.
Yes, thank you so much, Pamela. I'm really excited to be here. Yes, my name is Kelsey. So I'm a medium, a psychic medium, and I'm also Reiki Master. So I'm an energy healer, and I also offer life guidance. So I offer a number of different modalities within those.
Yeah, awesome. I saw a video of you explaining how you first got started. So do you want to just share a little bit of that with the audience?
Yeah. It's funny. I just posted a quick snippet of a reel today about this.
Oh.
I really was on a journey to come back to find myself, feeling like I had a little bit of a missing piece. Now, mediumship, it's something that drew into me, I like really throughout my life, but then I kind of kept pushing it off. It's a really it's a hard world to understand, especially as like someone who's kind of a super empath and what am I feeling? What am I experiencing? And a lot of hesitation and second guessing. And so really, I was just kind of on this journey to reconnect with soul and spirit and really just find myself. I just felt like a little piece of me had gone. And when I brought that into my world and I really sank and found myself quite literally, it just mediumship really just came with it. And then I started to experience these things again in harmony with finding myself. And when it's for me, the validation in it was like I wasn't looking to connect with spirit guides. I was just looking to find my true self, really. And then all of a sudden, these things came back. And so, these eras of your life when you're young, when you're changing, when you're growing, when you're experiencing your own life, life issues or whatever, you're like second guessing it, kind of wondering if it's coming with these phases or something. And when I felt so settled, it just came back in sync again and it was stronger to the point where I really just couldn't ignore it. And when I started to really speak and connect to it, then it really just validated itself, I think, through readings, because you start to experience and you hear these words and these tales of people who had passed, and you're speaking to the person you're doing the reading for, and they're like, yes, everything. And so the reality comes with the evidential mediumship, I would say. So then kind of rolling through that journey, the healing, the energy work really came to me. I hadn't really known anything about chakras at all. I took yoga and I saw the posters and that was about it. And I didn't know, I didn't feel connected to it. But then I started seeing and experiencing these visible orbs in people and you could feel them. And when you start to sit with them, and the cool thing about mediumship is when you connect with these centers of the person, like they have their own stories, they have their own personalities. So there are these like centers of insight. And what was really validating again about that for me was like, I was learning from spirit, like connection. And then when you're like, okay, this is what I learned, then you take to the internet and everything was an in-depth reality. It was like, it was pretty wild. So it was an extremely validating experience for me as well in that,
Yeah.
So then the business happened organically. We started to tell people who are close to you and you do readings for them and then they send others to you. So things just kind of snowballed from there in a beautiful way.
Yeah. So what is the difference between maybe mediumship and channeling and someone who's a psychic medium? Is there a difference or are they all kind of the same or how do they overlap with each other?
You're going to get different answers from different people. I'm going to tell you that right now.
And that's okay. We're
Really,
interviewing you today, so.
yeah, that's true. That's very true. When you're a medium, you're audience. Okay. So a lot of people tagline psychic medium because they're able to really connect to soul spirit and use intuition and use guides. And a lot of people are really, really good with tarot cards. I have friends, I have colleagues that are whizzes with the tarot cards. So you throw a tarot deck in front of me. I use spiritual guidance. I'm like, but when you have the audience, So the clear audience is when you can actually hear the words and descriptions and all these things kind of literally float through your ear. It can be responded back to by your internal dialogue, or you can actually hear a clear connection to a sound like it's someone whispering in your ear really, really
Mm-hmm.
subtly. And that really translates to mediumship.
Okay.
Then the empathic skills there. So if someone was experiencing a pain or an emotion or even a challenge, like you can feel it in yourself. And that's really in contact to mediumship as well, because you're able to hear a tale through sensory, right?
Mm.
And psychic, which I do, have the psychic abilities like the premonitions, the intuitions, the gut feelings, the insight. Or I have friends and colleagues, all respect, they're so good with astrology. I
Yeah.
translate from spirit for my astrological signs or readings, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it comes more, I would say that it gears more towards energy. So those are the two, I would say, different worlds, where the psychic world is the intuitive guidance, and then the mediumship is you're acting as a pencil, right?
Yeah.
Translating quite literally from spirit.
Okay. Yeah. So has Reiki been something that you started after you realized you had these skills and these abilities? And how does that overlap?
Oh yeah. So if you want to go back to my original short story of finding the chakras, it's kind of funny.
Okay.
I was going, so Reiki came later.
Okay.
I was having a very stressful event in my life, and I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't connected back to mediumship in a little bit. And this was in my really early stages. And so I'm settled in one night and I said, I really need some guidance. I'm like this, this is a lot of buzzing, a lot of stress going on.
Yeah.
And so I felt through the clear sentience, which is the clear sense, I had my hand feeling like connected to these energy spheres. I had
Mm-hmm.
no idea what I was doing, and I was really bringing them from one position to the next and resurfacing them. And I literally in my head go, "What the hell am I doing?" And I hear back, "You're rebalancing your chakras." And I go, "Chakras are real?" And that was a literal conversation I had.
Mm-hmm. You're like, wait a
Seriously, guys.
minute. I
Exactly.
thought they were just colors on a poster. Yeah.
Yes, no idea. I was like, oh, okay. So then I started to rebalance and reconnect and understand through this. And then to bring it back to Reiki, I would do my own heal energy work. And I integrate it through mediumship because I could tell you why there's spiritual blockages or what's going on. And I use that audience. And then I decided to go get my Reiki certification because I wanted to understand a different traditional background. I also wanted to be able to bring it to customers in a way that made sense to the community as well,
Mm-hmm.
because Reiki is now become more and more backed and understood by science. It's brought into
Yeah.
hospitals. Even my mom was like, I would love to see you be going in the hospitals and doing it. So I wanted to be able to bring it out to community in a way that they're able to sense, because
Yeah.
I think when people hear Reiki, they're a little bit more open when they're just hearing energy work or energy healing. Like, what the
Yeah.
hell is that? So I wanted to really bring these worlds together and offer it in the way that I feel I could best suit the greater good, right?
Yeah. So do people come to you for Reiki sessions, or they're coming to you for mediumship, or is it just they come to you with this is what's going on and you kind of decide or see where spirit leads you maybe on whether you're going to do one or both or do them both together? And then also along with that is sometimes when you're doing one, does the other one sort of overlap or engulf in with the other without even meaning to, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, it makes complete sense.
Okay.
I definitely lead with mediumship, and I think
Okay.
that it is the strongest pull that I can give. And I think it's something that there's a lot of Reiki, you know what I mean? But I think there's less mediums. So I think people often find me because of mediumship and less
Yeah.
because of Reiki. And then it can turn into, what can we do to help you heal? Because a lot of the mindset that comes backed by my mediumship and in my line of work is, how can we help you heal? How can we help you get to your best spiritual self, and that can come in a few different ways. So I offer like a guided meditation. I also offer energy work. So I like to typically begin practice with a mediumship reading so we can kind of pull all of the information out. And so then people end up continuing work with me doing Reiki. Sometimes they do often want to combine it with some mediumship or some meditation. And then you have some that just float in just for Reiki, but I would say majority there's an integrated work. And I would say most of the time when I'm speaking to somebody, there is a connection that they can help with either Reiki or they can help with guided meditation. And it's up to them to want to go down that route. And I also feel that in my industry, I never want people to feel like I'm pushing sales on them. And I put it out as an option, but I really want to protect the community because I think there's a lot of people that will take advantage of grieving folks, and people are going through some stressful issues in life. And so I don't want them to I want them to be able to feel safe and that they're not getting lurked on. So I put it out there. If it comes to them and if they feel the call to it, they'll, connect back to me. But there's always a space to make it interesting and to integrate. And then when it comes to Reiki, I offer the advice through spirit, because I'll be doing the Reiki and you can hear all the stories about their life, like why they're blocked, why they're carrying shame, why their heart feels like pulled in one direction and the next. So I ask permission. Is it okay if I share with you? And then most of the time people say yes, because
sure they're going to say yes.
But we can unblock you. But what happens if you literally go right home and it's like you're back to everything? So understanding why at least allows somebody the space in their life and in their mind to be like, okay, I'm going to put a pause before I'm going through my stressful day, because I'm understanding that like this is why I'm keeping anxiety in my throat chakra, or you know what I mean? So I think it's important for people to understand so they can actually take it and integrate it into their normal day life.
Yeah. So speaking of people understanding, what is the biggest misconception that you get or misunderstanding about what you do?
I think there's a lot of skepticism and they don't think that people live on. So not necessarily about your ability, but just that it's possible. Yes, exactly. I'm going to go back to the evidence tends to speak for itself. And it's really, I get the most skeptics if I just do an event, because people who aren't necessarily scoping out mediums, who they're pretty skeptic, they just stumble into my room and they're like, okay, I don't really know if I believe you. And then they sit down and they start to hear their entire life and then their loved ones, what they look like. I get nicknames and stuff like that. And you get descriptions, you get all of these things. And they're like, and that's the coolest experience. It's pretty wild, because you have someone completely not believing that anything goes on, and then they sit down. There's no time for homework, right? If you want to say that mediums like go online and they search obituaries or something like that, there's no time, and they just sit down and their life kind of shifts. And I like to respond and I like to take it back to science, because while I'm, spiritual and it resonates with me, I also love mathematics. I love logic, right? And I love natural sciences. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. There is now this entire world of quantum physics that they are showing that photons have memory. Even if a photon is removed from the greater part, it's like it actually carries all of the knowledge, and it knows it's being watched, it's being looked at. And just because it's divided from the greater cosmos, it contains all of the knowledge still of the greater cosmos. So it's like one is the large and the large is the one. And what's so unique about it is that we contain all of this energy in us. And when it separates from our physical form, it does not go away. It lives on. And there's something in this world of quantum physics that keeps us from being able to like fully see and resonate with the other side, because we're not able to see there, right? Our brains are structured, our minds are structured, our eyes and ears are structured into a human form. It does not mean that there's something in the world outside of energy that is not belonging to the greater part still. And so this is where I try to get people to understand and reason with there is more to the story on the other side than even I can understand, than
Yeah.
either, anyone who has relationship with spirit, sight and sound. There's so much more, even if we
Yeah.
can hear it, right? And I just offer that keep an open mind because there's none of us who know for sure, right? Like we don't
Right.
know everything, all of the algorithm that's happening in spiritual guidance, right?
Yeah, it's so fascinating. It really is. And I think, even people who have heard a lot of near-death experiences or people who have died and come back and they tell these stories of amazing things. But even them, we can't know until we are on the other side. Even those people, what's beyond that? I mean, if they were brought back, who knows what's beyond, nobody knows, like you said, until we're there ourselves. So it's so fascinating to me just how much unknown there really is. But then also, like you said, really how much is known and can be proven through like quantum physics and that. It's so amazing. You mentioned groups and events, and you work one-on-one. Are you working through virtually, or is it only in person, or how does that work?
For groups, I'll do virtual if there's a sizable group, but I like to, even if I'm in a group setting,
Mm-hmm.
I do like to cut it into short readings because I feel like everyone can get like their own attention instead of just calling out into a room. And
Yeah,
I've done it. So everyone's gonna have their different style. The way that I
sure.
work, because I want everyone to get their own personalized attention, I go
Yeah.
down the room. I go down the room, and I'm like,
Ah,
you
okay.
and you, and then you and you. Instead of just being like, I have like someone here, I
Right.
go directly to person. So I find that giving someone a little even if it's like a 5, 10 minute space by themselves, so that
Mm-hmm.
we can share. The only key there is keeping to time.
Right.
I always run over.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's probably
I'm
hard
doing
not to.
it's very hard because you're talking about people's like grief. You're talking about people's lives. They want to
Yeah.
stay with you. And so I get it. Uh, I do events where so a lot of the time I will go to somebody's house or private events where
Ah, mm-hmm.
they'll come over. I'll come over and we'll do the readings just in the same fashion that I spoke about. I do some like fairs at festivals or
Yeah.
expos and stuff like that where I'll set up a booth and I have learned to keep my readings no more than 10 minutes because then I get drained. I did
Yeah.
20 minutes, I think 20 minutes max at my first event and I was like, oh no, I can't do that. One, the line got really big and people are waiting 20 minutes. And
Ooh.
I felt bad because I couldn't get to a very
Yeah.
large number of people. And then my energy was getting very drained really quick because 20 minutes when you're doing it in back-to-back fashion is a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another question I have then. What do you do, if anything, to sort of prepare beforehand or for afterwards to help you replenish or whatever it is you need to do to to help yourself for self-care after a reading or even a Reiki session, whether you're doing healing work or whether you're doing mediumship work, and is that different or are they the same?
Yeah. So to prepare, I usually try to quiet down, especially the evening before. Do not
Mm-hmm.
talk to me on the phone for a long hour, long time. I really try to like cut my social media and my screen time and everything like that. And then I really just try to get settled. I'll do something like yoga. I also do really well by kind of a heat treatment. I'll
Mm.
go into a sauna. My throat chakra, I have like fibromyalgia kind of,
Oh,
and I
okay.
in some chronic pain issues. And I noticed that if I can get my immune system and everything to kind of calm down, I can
Mm-hmm.
hear better. It's like I can hear myself talk better, I can hear them talk better. So those are things, and I do limit my caffeine. I'm not always good at it. It's like the one thing that I get out, I call it, like, like when you're off the wagon, some people do it with alcohol. I'm like, I get off the wagon with caffeine.
Yeah.
But again, I do much better when I don't have caffeine because spirit is
Mm.
slow, spirit is neutral. If you're speedy, it's gonna miss you, right? You're
Yeah.
like buzzing out a different vibe, like a different frequency, and
Mm-hmm.
then they are too.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
So I'll do the day of if I have to keep up a little bit, drink some tea or something. But then afterwards, I notice I can get a little bit of a psychic hangover where I'll try to sleep at night and I cannot sleep because I just hear the audience in my ear. It's like all night. So that's where Reiki actually helps. I
Yeah.
should probably actually go to a practitioner. I've been doing it myself, and it's not the same. You don't get the same result
Yeah.
when you do it to
Yeah.
yourself, like anything, you know?
Right.
Uh, but that's where that would really come into play. It is really tiring. So just making sure
Hmm.
that I also have really wonderful support at my booth and everything like that. They help keep people come in and you know what I mean, get payment and keep on time. So it's really
Yeah.
helpful to have them. And then it's also helpful to have support to like break everything down. So I think the key is like family, friends, if you have them, whatever you can, if you're doing these big events, you do not need to do it alone. Even if you are the only reader, because I'm the only reader at mine. At this point in my business, I like to keep it that way, but it doesn't mean that do not use support in other fashions and please
Yeah.
like ask people. Yeah.
Yeah. Then that way you don't have to worry about any of the other aspects of it besides just doing those readings or that healing work. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
people can go in blind and people could be like, "Oh, yeah, I could just do it." And then
Hmm.
you realize that there's two jobs. There's two jobs, right?
Yeah.
Because you're facilitating a line too. Like that's the best result, right? That's what you want. You want a line,
Right.
you want people to
Right.
like be coming, you
You
want
hope.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have little things to hand out, you have people engaging, you know what I mean, good personalities
Hmm.
to help people engage and keep them coming and keep them smiling, making sure
Yeah.
everyone's okay, offering waters, you know.
Yeah. So you mentioned tarot cards. I know you kind of said that that's not something that you really need to use to connect or anything. So do you use any kinds of divination tools? And I mean, just like maybe even just for fun or just as another interest?
I've been trying to get myself to use them more.
Oh,
I
you have.
do now
Okay.
have some crystals that I'll like place around.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that I have used before, I do have a pendulum, and it can help for
Okay.
clarification because if you're trying to get a yes or a no, and you're
Hmm.
like stuck inside yourself a little bit, and you need a little clarification, those help.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm getting that right. Yes, yes, yes. So I think those fun like energy tools, it actually makes like the ground feel healing, you know what I mean?
Mm.
The space feel healing around you. So I'm trying to like pull more of those in and remind myself, no, you don't need them, but they're nice
Hmm.
to have. I think they're nice
Yeah.
for people to see. It kind of creates a little bit of a setting, you know?
Right.
And then I always like to give some takeaways. So I have some fun stickers and stuff that I
Yeah.
print. I'm doing the Pride
Nice.
event in Boston, so I'll have plenty of beads and just like, you know, getting people, keeping people cheery and light and keeping the spirit bright. And so I will take some like pull cards here, just maybe a little bit of like, oh, just choose one, something fun for people to pull, just so
Yeah.
that they get something. You know what I mean? I think it keeps people engaged, right?
Right.
So,
And then
and
they kind of remember too, like when they have whatever item it is, whether it's a card or a crystal or a sticker or something, then they remember that time with you as well. And I think it helps solidify a memory to that item. And then like, oh yeah, I remember this, and then they can remember it more clearly.
actually, yes, and to that point, so it's something that I do in my guided meditation too, because I call it guided meditation. We kind of go into this like little spiritual realm, and
Hmm.
we go walk through and see different areas of the self, of see different areas of life, and we try to reprocess memories in a better healing light, and we go through times like very specifically, methodically. With that being said, sometimes I let spirits guides say like what do we have to unearth and like sometimes it's a stone like you like and you bring like a green stone in, right? And so maybe you go back to this place where you're responding to fear or sadness or grief, but you're holding on to the stone and it feels like love and it's the center of self and you hold it in. So then you invite people to grab something like that in their day-to-day life. Hey, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling in that space, like literally grab onto the stone, remember that connection to self, remember that
Yeah.
connection to something light, and it actually helps. So to
Hmm.
that point, you're talking, and I was like, I really should throw like a bucket of like little chakra stones or something like that to bring so people can have them because I think it helps.
Yeah, sort of something to connect it with. So
That's
yeah.
exactly right.
So let's talk about your social media. Where's the best place for people to find you? Your everything is the same name, which I love. I was not that smart to do that, but I love when people do that. It makes it so easy. So you're on
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and your website, KelseyLynneMedium.com. So where's the
Yep.
best place for people to reach out to you and find you?
I would say I bounce between for my reels. I'm most consistent with Instagram and TikTok. I'm
Okay.
trying to get more on YouTube. And then I actually am hoping to start my podcast next month. So that will
Oh,
be
awesome.
higher frequencies podcast. And then my website, more than welcome to throw in an inquiry there, email me, or I can text on my phone. So if anyone
Okay.
wants to reach me through that as well.
Okay. And we'll have all those links below. So, is there
Awesome.
anything else that you want to make sure people know before we end this today?
Going back to holistic healing, going back to what I stated about my reel this morning,
Mm-hmm.
going into a holistic and healing journey, it always begins with you. So I would say if you're ever interested in tapping into spiritual guidance and tapping into these areas, finding the self first, creating compassion and love and a little bit of grace in these areas that can sometimes feel quite tense and tight. So that's my biggest pride in what I would like to leave people with. If they're interested, always start with you and mending up those pieces. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of doors to open farther from that.
Yeah. I love that message. Thank you. Thank you. What a
Yeah,
great message.
thank
So,
you.
thanks for being my guest today. And
Oh,
everyone, let's heal and grow and learn together and share this out with others. It's so fascinating. So, thanks once again.
oh, thank you.